we're on to plan B, which is the glow-in-the-dark paint slash glue slash whatever the hell this is. And we're back. I know. It's been so long since I have addressed this project. In the time that it's been since I last posted a video about SIREN, I've had commissions, I've had Christmas, and Christmas I was decided to take on the Herculean task of creating 2 separate Renaissance dresses for 2 of my nieces for Christmas. Of course, it's after Christmas and they're still not done, but there's one thing that my family has learned about me when it comes to Christmas is that presents will always be late. So I am setting the dresses aside for now, and we are getting back to this. How awesome are these seashells? I was not expecting anything to come out of the seashell part of the dress, and I really didn't know if I could actually pull it off, but here it is. And they came out looking so great. So I'm really happy with that. The apron is finished. There are final snaps here on the back. And now we need to get to the glow in the dark portion of this project. And the reason we need to get into the glow in the dark portion of this project, and we need to do it today, is because there is a glow in the dark art show occurring next month. Like that, the art show is in 30 days. However, submissions are this Friday. That gives me 4 days to get this dress glow in the dark ready so I can submit the dress to the art show. And it's not finished. The last part of the dress cannot be finished until after the art show, because that I'm still struggling with the anglerfish bow, and our 3D printer is doing nothing for us. We tried commissioning a 3D print of the bow, but the pattern is so flawed, it's not working. So what we're gonna have to do is our last resort, which is mold the thing out of clay, which was the original plan to begin with. And we're gonna see if we can't take some extra colors. This really isn't so much like glue something together as it is kind of just squeeze on paint. It's really more paint than it is glue. At least that's what it claims to be. So we have a 6-pack here. We have blue, green, yellow, orange, pink, and white, but any glow in the dark white really is just kind of that sickly green. So this I can use to highlight certain parts of the dress, give it some extra glow, but for the most part, I have this 11-pack of pearl strings I found used on eBay, just strands and strands of pearls, so that way I don't have to sew pearls on individually onto this dress, which would have taken forever. So I have strands. It's not only going to save me time, but it's going to keep lines straight, and I want the lines to be straight. So I have the sleeves and the skirt, and then this part of the corset all needs to have glow in the dark dots to give Alice that kind of glow in the dark look that she has when parts of the game get dark. You can still see her walking because she has all these glow in the dark. It's kind of like a jellyfish effect throughout the dress. So we're going to get that done. But first thing we need to do is get the pearls. And the original paint I got which is this one. So this is the only glow-in-the-dark paint I could find that's not actually green. This glows white. And I've been charging it on my windowsill for weeks, so it should be primed and ready to go. We're going to use this to paint the pearl strands, and then we're going to get the pearl strands onto the dress. So I have 4 days to get this done, so we really don't have a whole lot of time to keep talking. So let's just, reverse the camera angle and get started on the painting. Okay, so you can see how many rolls of pearl strings we have, and I have them separated according to the brightness of the pearls. So here are the brightest pearls. They kind of have this iridescent effect to them, so these will be the first priority. And then we have these, which are either slightly discolored or just slightly off-white, but they're close enough to white as well that they should work. And then over here off to the side are the really discolored off-white ones. I don't really want to touch those unless absolutely necessary, but for now I have enough rolls over here that I can work with, and this should be enough. The real question is there enough paint to cover all of them? But I need enough strands to cover the sleeves, the bottom half of the corset, and the skirt. First part of this is to open up the paint, and we're going to get painting. I had found these old pearl strands on eBay, and there was no mention of their material makeup. They were definitely not real pearls. They looked and felt like plastic. At this point, I had no idea if the paint would even take. But the only way to find out was to try. Alright, while we wait for the pearl strand to dry, see if it's even compatible, or if it's even like the paint is even taking to it. I'm trying to get a good angle on this. Proper lighting. I'm gonna have to close the blinds. But yeah, I've taken the apron. There we go. Taken the apron off of the dress and have the corset completely exposed now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the glow-in-the-dark fabric paint, and we're going to take the pink and the blue. We're going to start tracing the scales that I drew on in the last video, and just give it a little bit of an extra glowy pop for this art show. So today is the day we find out if these fabric paint tubes really work. It was here I learned that painting the fabric directly is a much easier, less time-consuming process. In the time it took to paint 3 strands of these pearls, I had painted an entire corset full of glow-in-the-dark scales with time to spare. Okay, so I tried about 10 minutes of sewing beads onto the sleeves, and the more I sewed, the more they slacked, and it just became apparent that unless I just sew down like every centimeter of the strand, it's not going to look right. So we're on to plan B, which is the glow-in-the-dark paint slash glue slash whatever the hell this is. But we do know that it works. So what we're going to do is just glab this on in dots, and that's going to count. And I chose the blue because that seems to glow the brightest in the dark. It looks blue in the bottle, but it comes off as whiter in the dark, as opposed to this one that looks white in the bottle, but it glows that weird neon green, which the dress is green enough, so we're going to go with the blue, give it some contrast. So I've already started here with the sleeves. You can see all these dots, and this is going on much easier. I can't believe I wasted an entire evening yesterday painting beads. But you live and learn. So, plan B. So what I'm going to do is start with the seams. We have this center seam here, the 2 seams on the side, the 1 seam in the back, and then once those are done, what we're going to do is just measure the middle point between each seam and work our way down. Each pin is 3 inches apart. Same with the sleeves, they are 3 inches apart. So it's just that easy. Something tells me I should probably lay this down. Let's grab these, take it away. That. And it's done. That easy. Much easier. Okay, in order for this to dry without gravity taking them away, I'm now draping the skirt over a few things and keeping it as horizontal as possible. And then over here, the poofy sleeves are pretty much about as normal as you can get, but they don't seem to be that affected, so yeah, bunch of dots. And I did go with the white after all because it didn't felt like the dots were too far apart, but I don't know if I have enough blue for all the dots, so I'm alternating now. Blue, white, green, blue, white, green, blue, white, green. And that'll give it some variety. So here, so instead of 3 inches apart, they're 1.5 inches. So now it's just a matter of waiting for all this to dry before I tackle the other side. And then I can get the corset back on because that looks silly. But that's the dress. Good morning. Good night. Yeah, I don't know why that's not coming out up on camera. I noticed that when I was doing the glow in the dark test that of course it had plenty of glow and the skirt and sleeves had plenty of glow. Something was missing. There was basically a huge dark gap right in the area where the seashells are, so it just felt incomplete the way it was. And with all my other colors at this point pretty much depleted, it wasn't my favorite thought to have to use that sickly green paint to outline my seashells. It was just all I had left. So this paint is supposed to be UV reactive. If I can't get it to glow on camera in the dark, then we can at least test it out. So this I pulled from my last mystery playthrough for my other channel, Star Trek Realms. Go ahead, check it out. Ultraviolet light, so let's see if this works and it charges up the paint. See how the dots are glowing? You shine the UV light on the paint and it makes them glow. Okay, so this is UV reactive, just as stated on the packaging, which also qualifies my dress for the glow show because it has to be UV reactive in order to qualify. So all the dots that I've been painting on this thing will be able to shine through under UV light. Well, thanks to the UV light, it seems like you can finally see the glow in the dark dots on camera, so that's good. This is gonna look so cool at the art show. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, so it's very late at night, and I'm not sure I have enough paint left to do this, but there's only one stripe left that I need to paint before the big day. So everything else has been dotted and redotted. Sometimes the paint, it just kind of comes on weak and I have to give it some extra layering just so it looks like a proper, I don't even know what they really are on her dress, but we need something that looks like a bead. Everything's set up. We're going to see how much we have left in these bottles, and we're just going to start dabbing this on. So I'm going to start here. I don't start here at the waistline seam because all of this is going to be covered by the corset anyway, but I do want to keep it relatively high just to keep that line strong. So I have a pin here. This line and this line, they're both on seams. So what I've been doing is I started with the seams. There are 4 seams at perfect opposites from each other. And then I just kind of measured into the perfect middle of each panel and just work my way down. So that's what tape measuring here is for. Now that we have everything pinned and marked where the perfect centers are from the top, the bottom of the seaweed fabric, and then the very bottom of the skirt. So I'm going to start, this is 1 inch, this is 2, I'm going to start at 2.5 inches. So we're going to start the strand here. So we're just going to dot that on, and then we're going to go every 3 inches. So it's every 3 inches down. Now that we have that measured, we're going to move this a bit. Start it at the 1 mark. Just poke that right into the mannequin. And now we have to align the tape. I'm going to fan this out so the paint doesn't smear. So we're going to get this tape straight down and matched up with all the pins. And that's so we know it's going to be a straight line. So that's 3, 6, 9, 12. It's getting really hard to get the paint out of this bottle. It's actually hurting my hands when I squeeze.
The show was awesome. The darker the night got outside, the more the art shined inside. And my dress was a major showpiece. There was just one little problem with it. It was still not complete. We still needed the apron and the bow, which was quite a challenge to overcome. Stay tuned for that adventure.
Welcome to the channel, like and subscribe. Isn't that what YouTube wants us to say? Our Lords and Master Google? Yeah.